My first love began at the exact moment it became impossible. It wasn't dramatic. There were no sudden confessions or tragic goodbyes. It simply happened on the day the person I loved married someone else. 1 year earlier, Uta's older brother, Reichi, married Kaoru, the girl who had lived next door for years. To Uta, Kaoru had always been something precious, a childhood companion, a gentle older sister figure, someone warm and dependable. She had been part of Uta's everyday life long before she became family. But feelings change quietly. Without realizing it, admiration had turned into love. Uta didn't understand that what she felt was romantic love, not at first. She only recognized it on the wedding day, as she watched Kaoru stand beside Reichi in a white dress. In that moment, clarity struck too late. That was when her unrequited love began. Now, a year into the marriage, the three of them live together. The house is calm, almost painfully peaceful. One evening, Kaoru is making a scrapbook to celebrate their first wedding anniversary. She carefully arranges photographs, smiling softly at the memories. Uta watches her, feeling both warmth and ache at the same time. Kaoru thanks her for the compliment and laughs shyly. She talks about celebrating together, the three of them as a family. To Kaoru, Uta is important. She worries about her. She knows Uta had difficulties before coming to live with them. She senses when Uta forces a smile. She encourages her to speak honestly instead of bottling things up. Kaoru's kindness is genuine. And that is exactly what makes it unbearable. Because if Uta were to confess, if she said, "I love you," what would Kaoru say? What advice could she possibly give? Uta knows the answer. There is none. Meanwhile, the anniversary approaches. Reichi, as usual, seems absent-minded. He struggles to remember dates and emotional details. When Kaoru asks about taking time off for their anniversary, he reveals he has scheduled a business trip that same day. It is their first wedding anniversary. Kaoru tries to remain calm. She says she understands. She reminds herself that she knew what kind of man she married, hardworking, not very expressive, often busy. But disappointment quietly shows on her face. Uta sees it, and something inside her twists painfully. Later, Kaoru makes an unexpected request. She asks Uta to go out with her on the anniversary instead. Not as a replacement in a romantic sense, but because spending the day alone would feel too lonely. Uta hesitates, then agrees. They go to an amusement park after school. The atmosphere is bright and noisy. Children laugh, rides roar. The world feels light. Kaoru seems different there, carefree, smiling openly. She rides attractions Reichi would normally avoid. She doesn't mind the long lines. She laughs loudly, releasing stress. Uta watches her closely. Even after all this time, being beside Kaoru still makes her heart race. They board the Ferris wheel, something culturally associated with romance. Uta doesn't particularly like Ferris wheels, though she tolerates roller coasters just fine. Kaoru teases her gently. Inside the cabin, suspended above the park, the world below looks distant. And in that small enclosed space, something shifts. Kaoru gives Uta a small gift. She explains that she wanted something symbolic, something to connect them like family, a physical reminder of affection and belonging. To Kaoru, it is innocent, loving, protective. To Uta, it is devastating. Because Kaoru sees her as family, nothing more. At one point, their hands touch. It is brief, accidental. But that contact brings back memories of childhood, when they used to walk home holding hands. Back then, the size difference between their palms was obvious. Back then, it was simple. Now, it is different. Now,
Uta is painfully aware of what her heart feels. She wishes she could return to how things were before she understood, but she cannot. That evening, unexpectedly, Reichi returns home. He has canceled his business trip. He explains awkwardly that he thought he should at least spend their anniversary together. He apologizes. Kaoru's face lights up with happiness. It is pure. Uta watches from the side. Reichi casually suggests that Uta come along when they go out to celebrate, but Uta refuses. She tells them to enjoy themselves without interruption. She chooses to stay home. Because earlier that day, she had touched Kaoru, and that brief closeness is enough to break her heart. No matter how much time passes, no matter how close she stands, Kaoru remains unreachable. This is the other side of happiness, the painful side that exists quietly beneath smiles. And Uta is left wondering, would it have been better if she had never realized her feelings at all? The house grows quiet after they leave. The sound of the front door closing echoes longer than it should. Uta stands alone in the living room, staring at the space Kaoru had just occupied. The air still feels warm, as if it remembers her presence. On the table lies the small gift Kaoru gave her, a symbol of family. Family. The word feels heavy. Uta sinks onto the sofa and lets the silence settle around her. She tells herself this is the right choice, this is how things should be. Reichi is Kaoru's husband. They are celebrating their first year together, a milestone built on vows Uta witnessed with her own eyes. She has no place in that picture. And yet her heart refuses to cooperate. Earlier that day, at the amusement park, Kaoru's laughter had sounded different, lighter, almost free. For a brief moment, Uta had allowed herself to imagine something dangerous, that this day meant more than it should. That maybe, just maybe, she was special in a way that went beyond sisterhood. But the gift clarified everything. Kaoru's affection is steady and sincere, but it is shaped like family love. Uta understands that clearly. That clarity is what hurts the most. As night deepens, Uta replays every moment. The Ferris wheel rising slowly into the sky, the way Kaoru's fingers brushed against hers. The nostalgia in Kaoru's voice when she spoke about walking home hand in hand years ago. Back then, their hands were different sizes. Back then, Uta looked up to her. Now, their hands fit more evenly, but their hearts do not. Uta realizes something important. Her suffering is not caused by cruelty. No one is betraying her. No one is rejecting her openly. No one even knows. Her pain exists quietly, entirely inside her own chest. It is a love that has nowhere to go. If she confesses, she risks destroying the fragile peace of the household. If she stays silent, she continues living beside the person she loves, pretending everything is normal. Either choice leads to loss, so she chooses silence. At the restaurant, somewhere across town, Kaoru and Reichi are likely sitting across from each other. Kaoru is probably smiling that gentle smile again. Reichi, awkward but trying, might be apologizing in his clumsy way. Uta imagines it, and despite the ache, she feels something else too. Relief. Because Kaoru is happy. And loving someone sometimes means choosing their happiness over your own, even when it breaks you. That's the contradiction Uta now lives with. She wants Kaoru's joy, she wants Kaoru's touch, she wants Kaoru's world. But she cannot have all three. So she accepts the role given to her: little sister, family member, quiet observer. Her first love did not begin with confession. It began with distance. And from this point forward, every smile, every shared meal, every casual touch will carry two meanings. One visible, one hidden. And that hidden meaning is what will slowly shape everything that follows.